The leaks for chapter 338 have just dropped, and no joke, but it's the best in the entire match. In this video, Hugo explains a bit more about his background and upbringing before he simply goes up yet another gear and shoots towards the goal. If that wasn't wild enough, then we end up with seeing two crazy sub-outs, which will come on in, and one of them is Barou. But that's far from everything, but the rest I will keep a secret. So, not to waste any time, let's get right into it. Alright, so the chapter starts off with the text saying, Hugo speaks, the true essence of number 2, sending the meaning of this view and ego to the enemy. After that, we see Hugo staring intensely towards Isagi as he tells him to listen up, telling him that he will let him know about his ego as the second best. And Isagi looks a bit mad as he just hears Hugo's voice straight up. We then cut to a moment towards the matchup between Rin and Loki, where Loki was too afraid to get beaten by the beast of Blue Lock. So he decided to instead chicken out and pass the ball to the side to none other than Hugo, who jumps up and traps it, and it looks pretty sick. While he comes in contact and traps the ball, he explains that in the first place, about being number 2 or the second best, Isagi is just thinking that it's someone who can't become the number 1, asking if he isn't right. But before Isagi can even answer him, Hugo puts out his hand and tells him that right there is where he is wrong in his calculations. We then quickly see a panel of ego still on the bench, and Hugo continues his talk as he tells Isagi that they are conditioned to believe that you have to be number 1, but they are just being brainwashed by that bowl-cut 4 eyes. Now, just to give my 2 cents here, I do think that Hugo has some truth to what he is saying, but I just love ego, so I can't take the ego disrespect. And we learn that Isagi is just like me, as he can't either sit by the side just listening to this crap, as he starts to look super mad as he tells Hugo to shut up and to just be quiet. And I love Isagi, but in this panel I just can't take him seriously. Like, if he told me to be quiet, I feel like I would just start to laugh. Anyway, he also tells Hugo that he doesn't want to hear it, and that he couldn't give less of a thought to Hugo's twisted personal theories. With that done, we move over to Hugo, who seems to be the protagonist of this chapter, as it's a lot about him, which I genuinely can't really complain about. But he tells Isagi that he is actually the one who is biased. He then says his name, and that when it comes to others, the way that he uses his talent, asking if it doesn't ever feel like it's such a waste. With that, Isagi starts to look super confused and mind-blown as he then starts to think about Barou, Yukimiya, and Hiyori. And while on that topic, please let Yukimiya out of the dungeon. We need to see that boy soon. We then move back to Hugo, whose eyes start to lock in and get more serious as he says that ever since he can remember, it has always been that way. As he says that, we get into a sort of flashback where we spot a younger version of Hugo, and he explains that everyone, why is it that without properly knowing themselves, they want to do things they can't do? They live their lives craving things that are out of their reach, and it just makes him mad, or annoyed might be the better word. We then see an older version of him as he continues his previous speech and says that when he sees people whose gears are out of sync simply because their talent and ego don't match, he feels a natural urge to fix them into their correct mechanism, telling Isagi that he was born with that kind of sensitivity and that it's something that he can't help with. We then move back to the game, where we see Hugo, who is still going pretty insane on the field, and he once again is talking to Isagi and says that it's exactly why he tells the people he meets, telling them that if they do it like this, then it will get much better. And actually, I do hear him. It's of course annoying hearing someone telling you that you are doing something wrong or thinking about it differently. However, if it will make you improve, then you know what? I can get behind it. Anyway, while he said that, he also hit Isagi with a super cold nutmeg pass, which is heading to Charles, while Charles is now in control, and it looks like he is starting to prepare for something. But before that, we have more monologue from Hugo. Hey, it's Natsu, mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? As he says a bunch of examples like, if you do it like this, then you can beat that guy. Or if you do it like this, then you will be more popular. Or even, if you do it like this, then you will be more loved. Isagi looks like he really isn't getting behind any of what it is that Hugo is saying, as he is pissed off. And while looking straight at Hugo, he asks what the hell that is, calling it gross and saying that he is just a self-centered, meddling nuisance. Hugo then looks back at him and says, yeah, exactly, explaining that this is something that he wants to do, so it's fine if he is hated for it. It's not like charity, but it's not spreading malice either, and I hate to be that guy, but Hugo is really coming around on me in this chapter. We then quickly see Charles for a quick moment, but he doesn't say anything. Instead, he just passes the ball back to Hugo, and the one who says something is, well, you know it already. As it's Hugo who says that it's just that with his ideas, people's suitability starts to align and a new world begins to turn. Then, in the next panel, we see Hugo super coldly jumping up as he meets the ball with his chest and traps it, and it gets like totally dark around him. Hugo then tells Isagi that fate changes by the simple fact of meeting him. Creating that kind of person is irresistibly interesting, and hearing those words and thoughts makes Isagi's brain tick just that little extra bit as he starts to realize that Hugo is just a little bit like himself as he thinks back to the Nigeria game and his talk with Onatsi. While he is in his deepest of thoughts, Hugo once again speaks up and asks if this isn't the joy of living. Saying that, as for himself, he wants to know the meaning of why he was born into this world, and with that, he starts to really go up a gear as he tries to get away from Isagi. Ryo sees this and sounds pretty annoyed as he screams out to everyone to watch the pass. Aiku is also watching this with hawk eyes, and he says that Hugo is totally free now. Karasu is the last one to add on to it, as he says that he can see it, most likely talking about what he thinks that Hugo will do. While the three of them seem to be panicking, Hugo can be seen simply running on the pitch with a stone-cold expression on his face as he says that his talent is better suited for changing others to make the world turn, telling everyone that he has never once thought about wanting to be a striker though. We then see him running up on the field with a furious Isagi behind him, and he says that, as the second best and as a midfielder, he wants to win the World Cup. He then speaks directly to Isagi once again and asks him if he knows the record for the most World Cup titles in human history is 3 times, explaining that the record is held only by the king of soccer, who is Pele, the man himself. We then see Loki ahead of Hugo, and he looks at him with a smirk as he tells Hugo to come on. But he is, of course, not the only one who is feeling the excitement going on right now, as we also spot Charles, who says that Loki is just kidding and that Hugo should send the ball his way. With that, we then cut back to Hugo, who, I kid you not, seems to have a unique meta-vision design, as he has gears in his eyes, as he says that this is exactly why he wants to win the World Cup 4 times. And I'm sorry, but I can't hold out anymore. I just have to say that Hugo is really the GOAT right now. Straight up saying that he wants to dethrone Pele on having the most World Cup wins and get more than him is an insane amount of aura, and I am proudly a Hugo fanboy right now. Anyway, back to the actual chapter and not just me yapping, as we see Hugo starting to get into a passing stance as he locks in and looks wild. However, you guys know when I said that he went into a shooting stance? Well, that was just a lie. As the madman that he is, he decides to shoot the ball instead, and while doing it, he says that he will become a legend of humanity. We then see Karasu, who sees the ball going past him, and he is in disbelief as he can't believe it. He says that he's taking all the pass courses his teammates created and turning them into decoys. We then see Gagamaru, and we get into his head as he says that Hugo is the one shooting after all, and he tries his best to jump and save the goal, but there's not a lot you can do, as sadly the ball goes into the net and gives France their second goal of the match and also the lead. We then see Isagi on the side, who actually looks amazed by all of this, as he then says that it's huge, and that he has finally realized Hugo's true dream, explaining that it's not a matter of being number 1 or 2 anymore. He looks closely at Hugo and says that his dream is bigger, he is smarter, and he is even more egoistic than he is, and that is something that I never thought that the ego man Isagi would say. After that, we get the maddest panel of Hugo ever, as he looks insane as he asks Isagi with pure fire in his eyes if even with this, he hates being the second best. We then learn that it's the end of the first half now, and we then move to the bench and towards Ego, who looks super locked in as he speaks up and tells both Shidou and Barou to get in from the second half and calls them the double joker, which is so insanely sick, and I can't wait to see Charles and Shidou interact. The ending text then says that the brat and the demon perform together, and if I'm honest, then I didn't even think about that, but both Barou and Shidou going in at the same time is pretty insane, and how they will be able to coexist I have no idea, but pop off. After that, I can happily announce that there is no break next week, which is better not be after such an amazing chapter, because otherwise I wouldn't know what I would do with myself. We then learn that the next chapter will be called Desperate Adversity, which I guess just means that Blue Lock is currently finding themselves in an uphill battle right now, and that they are struggling a bit mentally, but that Ego will most likely hit them with an insane speech that will get them fired up again. Now I want to speak, but I'm so mind blown. Like this chapter, I genuinely think that it was a 10 out of 10 chapter, as everything with this was just pure cinema and perfect, and to think that France is in the lead right now is crazy, but I just know that Blue Lock will soon enough come with an insane counter. Anyway, from my standpoint, this chapter was amazing, but please let me know what you guys thought about this chapter, and what your favorite moment in it was. Anyway, If you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel. And while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.